Hey guys, tonight we're cracking open the vault of time itself. You're not just sitting in bed, you're squeezing through a narrow, dust-choked passage in a tomb sealed for 3,000 years. The air tastes of stale earth and secrets, like licking a rusty key. Your flashlight beam dances over hieroglyphs flickering to life. Scorpions, coiled snakes, and hawk-headed gods judging your life choices. One wrong step, those crumbling stones overhead wouldn't care about your streaming subscription or unfinished laundry. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Where's your own expedition launching from tonight? Drop your location and local time below. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your boot scrapes against limestone worn smooth by vanished feet. This isn't Indiana Jones. You're knee-deep in real archaeology, where 90% of the work involves gently brushing dirt off a potsherd while sweating under a desert sun that feels like a cosmic hairdryer. Mainstream fact time. Howard Carter's discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922 wasn't glamorous. It took 10 grinding years of funding, droughts, skeptical colleagues, and a stubborn donkey named Topsy hauling debris. When Carter finally breached the chamber, Lord Carnarvon asked, "Can you see anything?" Carter's whispered reply, "Yes, wonderful things." Spoiler, Carnarvon died months later, sparking the curse of the pharaoh's tabloid frenzy, though historians note he'd been chronically ill for years. Now for the weird. Your light glints off a corroded clay jar half buried in rubble. Meet the Baghdad Battery, a 2,000-year-old Parthian artifact with an iron rod, copper cylinder, and traces of vinegar. Was it an ancient electroplating tool or just a sacred scroll holder? Scholars still argue whether civilizations like Babylon dabbled in proto-electricity, or if we're projecting sci-fi dreams onto a glorified pickle jar. You crouch to examine a mural, hundreds straining against ropes to drag a 70-ton granite block. How? Theories range from ingenious log rollers and slicked mud ramps to acoustic levitation. Yes, someone published a paper about shouting at stones until they float. You smirk, imagining your neighbor's face if you tried hauling a fridge using harmonic chants. Suddenly, your beam catches symbols carved in a shadowed alcove, not hieroglyphs. These look like a drunken owl, a wobbly ladder, and a floating teacup. This is Proto-Elamite script from 3100 BC Iran. Only 1,600 tablets exist, and nobody has cracked it. The Rosetta Stone had Greek to cross-reference. This is pure cryptographic despair. One academic famously called it the intellectual equivalent of chewing gravel. You trace the grooves, feeling the ghost of a scribe who never imagined their grocery list would baffle MIT linguists millennia later. A draft whispers past your ear, ancient air escaping its prison. It carries the scent of myrrh and something darker, crushed beetles used for crimson dye. You spot fractured bones near a shattered urn, ritual sacrifice, a clumsy laborer. Historians still argue whether societies like the Minoans practiced systematic human offerings or just really embellished their disaster reports. The chill deepens. It's not just temperature, it's the weight of all the unspoken stories, the love poems, trade receipts, and children's doodles erased by time. You think of your own secrets, that hidden cookie stash, the cringe playlist. Now imagine them surviving 40 centuries, only for future humans to misinterpret your chocolate chip obsession as moon worship. That chill from the tomb clings to you as we emerge, blinking into the blinding sunlight of southern Turkey. Gone is the claustrophobic dark. Now you're staring up, way up, at the first carved T-shaped pillar of Göbekli Tepe. Your fingers brush against limestone etched with foxes, scorpions, and vultures frozen mid-swoop. The sheer scale hits you. Pillars weighing 10 to 20 tons, erected over 11,000 years ago. 11 millennia, that's 6,000 years older than Stonehenge, built by hunter-gatherers who supposedly hadn't even invented pottery yet. Mainstream fact incoming. This site rewrote history. Before its discovery, scholars insisted complex monuments required agriculture and cities. Göbekli Tepe flipped the script. Ritual came first, driving social complexity. You lean against the cool stone, dwarfed. How did people with no wheels, no beasts of burden, quarry and haul these behemoths across miles of rugged terrain? Theories involve log sledges, hundreds of workers hauling ropes, and slopes lubricated with water or animal fat. You chuckle, picturing the world's first OSHA nightmare. No hard hats, just determination and likely a lot of grunting. Now, pivot, you're suddenly in the dense Guatemalan jungle. Humidity slick on your skin. Before you, El Castillo, the great pyramid of Tikal, pierces the canopy. The Maya didn't just build up, they built precise. This pyramid isn't just a tomb or temple, it's a celestial calendar. During equinoxes, shadows slither down the northern staircase like a diamond back, aligning perfectly with a stone serpent head at the base. Historians still argue whether sites like Tikal were primarily ceremonial centers, astronomical observatories, or both, a fusion of faith and science where priests doubled as astrophysicists. Now, for the quirky, head north to Lebanon's Baalbek. Here lies the stone of the pregnant woman, a single partially quarried block weighing a staggering 1,050 tons. One block. That's heavier than 3 fully loaded Boeing 747s. Even the Romans, who built a colossal temple complex atop the platform centuries later, reused smaller stones, baffled by how the original builders moved such monsters. Fringe theorists whisper of lost vibration tech or even ancient giants. You smirk, imagining a Neolithic foreman yelling, "Just one more lift, lads," as workers contemplate mutiny. Feel the texture under your palms, the pock-marked volcanic tuff of Easter Island's Moai, the slick precision of Incan polygonal masonry in Cusco, where a knife blade can't slip between stones. How did cultures separated by oceans and millennia achieve such impossible fits? In Peru, the answer might lie in sunk work, stones shaped over generations, fitted and refitted like a slow, obsessive puzzle. In Easter Island, a mix of basalt picks, relentless patience, and likely societal collapse, fueled by statue mania. You crouch beside a fallen moai, its hollow eyes staring past you at the Pacific. One quirky debate persists. Did islanders walk these giants upright using ropes, as modern experiments suggest, or were they dragged horizontally on log rails? Either way, it's a stark reminder, even wonder has a cost. Deforestation, famine, civilizations reaching too high. The sun dips low, casting long shadows. At Newgrange in Ireland, you stand before a 5,200-year-old passage tomb. For 5 days around the winter solstice, dawn sunlight creeps through a perfectly aligned roof box, flooding the inner chamber with golden light for 17 minutes. Not a single written manual, no lasers, just keen observation passed down through generations. Was it a celebration of rebirth, a way to commune with ancestors? Historians still argue. You feel the weight of that intentional alignment, a silent conversation with the cosmos, etched in stone and light. As twilight deepens, you look up. The same stars that guided the builders of Göbekli Tepe, Tikal and Baalbek now blink above your backyard. The distances collapse. You're not just an observer. You're standing in the echo of their genius, their sweat, their skyward gaze. The cool stone of monuments fades, replaced by the dry, paper-scented stillness of a climate-controlled archive. No jungle humidity or desert wind here, just the soft hum of preservation and the weight of silence. You're hunched over a magnifying lamp, your breath held, staring at a palm-sized clay tablet. Etched into its surface are tiny, intricate symbols: a stick figure man, a fish, a cluster of dots, a bird that looks suspiciously like a grumpy chicken. This isn't art. This is Indus Valley script, the baffling language of a sprawling civilization that thrived along the Indus and Ghaggar Hakra rivers over 4,000 years ago. Thousands of these seals and inscriptions exist, found from the Arabian Sea to the foothills of the Himalayas. Mainstream fact, despite over a century of study featuring brilliant minds and supercomputers, no one can read it. We know they built grid-planned cities like Mohenjo-Daro with sophisticated drainage, traded with Mesopotamia, and crafted beautiful artifacts. But their thoughts, laws, and stories utterly mute. Your finger traces the enigmatic bird glyph. Is it a name, a god, a tax receipt for 3 bushels of barley? Historians still argue whether it's even a full writing system or a complex system of proto-writing symbols. The frustration is palpable, like hearing a conversation through a thick wall. Now, shift continents. You're in a dim room in Rome, handling a fragile, singed fragment of papyrus rescued from Vesuvius's wrath. This is Linear A, the script used by the sophisticated Minoans on Crete centuries before the Greeks. Its elegant flowing lines look almost artistic, but they guard administrative records, lists of goods, people, places, of the palace at Knossos. We cracked its descendant, Linear B, used by the Mycenaean Greeks, revealing inventories of chariots, spices, and even slave women. But Linear A, its underlying language remains a ghost. Theories range from it being an early form of Luwian spoken in Anatolia to a completely lost Minoan tongue. Now for the quirky, enter the Phaistos disc. Found on Crete, this fired clay disc, roughly 15 centimeters across, is covered on both sides with spirals of stamped, utterly unique symbols. Men running, shields, bees, lilies, a plumed head. No other example exists. Is it a hymn, a board game, a Bronze Age message in a bottle, or an elaborate hoax? Scholars have proposed everything from a religious calendar to an ancient typewriter prototype. You turn a replica disc in your hands, feeling the absurdity. Imagine inventing a unique font for a single document and then smashing the printer. The ache of lost voices grows sharper. You sail to the remoteness of Rapa Nui, Easter Island. Not just Moai here. You're examining a weathered wooden tablet, its surface covered in rows of tiny, intricate glyphs. Stylized men, birds, fish hooks, plants, geometric forms. This is Rongorongo, the only possible indigenous writing system developed in Oceania before European contact. The script flows in a unique reverse boustrophedon pattern, left to right on one line, then the tablet is rotated 180 degrees for the next line, reading left to right again. It's visually mesmerizing, logically dizzying. Tragically, after epidemics and cultural collapse devastated the island in the 19th century, the knowledge of reading Rongorongo vanished. Only 26 fragile tablets survive. Later attempts to decipher it using Rapa Nui informants produced conflicting, likely invented readings. Was it sacred genealogy, creation myth, navigation charts? Historians still argue whether it was true writing or complex mnemonic symbols understood only by a priestly elite. You touch a photograph of the glyphs, feeling the profound loss, an entire intellectual tradition erased, leaving only beautiful, impenetrable scratches. Suddenly, a spark. You're back with the Indus script. A recent approach uses AI not to translate, but to analyze the patterns, the frequency of symbols, their positions relative to each other, the structure of sequences. Does it behave like known languages? Early results are tantalizing but inconclusive. Could brute force computing combined with a newly discovered Rosetta Stone-like bilingual text finally break the code? Or will these symbols forever guard their secrets? You glance at your phone, lit with emojis and text. A modern script, instantly understood globally. The gulf between that fluency and the silence emanating from these ancient marks feels vast, yet the hunt continues. Every undeciphered glyph is a locked door, and behind it, not just facts, but the humanity of the past. Their jokes, fears, market haggles, lullabies. The sheer will to say, we were here, this is what we thought. Your own hand instinctively reaches for a pen. The urge to leave a mark, to be understood across time, feels suddenly primal. The silence in the archive isn't empty. It's thick with millions of unspoken words, waiting. The silence of the archive dissolves into the scorching, wind-whipped silence of the Peruvian desert. You're not studying symbols now. You're kneeling at the lip of a Nazca Puquio, a spiraling stone well plunging deep into the parched earth. Cool, damp air rises to meet your face, smelling faintly of wet stone and centuries of patience. Below, hidden for miles, runs an ancient aqueduct system, a labyrinthine web of underground channels, filtration galleries, and reservoirs built by the Nazca culture 1,500 years ago. In a land where rain might vanish for decades, this was their lifeline. Mainstream fact, using only wooden logs, stone hammers, and an intimate knowledge of underground geology, they tapped into deep aquifers, channeling water to sustain cities and farm fields in one of Earth's driest places. You drop a pebble. Seconds later, a faint plink echoes from the darkness. How did they map these subterranean rivers without modern tools? Historians still argue whether they used observing wells, divining rods controversial, or simply generations of accumulated wisdom passed down like a sacred secret. You wipe grit from your eyes, imagining the back-breaking labor, carving tunnels wide enough only to crawl, hauling rubble in baskets, guided by flickering torchlight and sheer desperation. Ancient OSHA would have had a field day. Suddenly, salt spray stings your lips. You're on a storm-tossed Greek ship circa 70 BC. The vessel groans, timbers straining, then catastrophe. It sinks, taking its cargo to the seabed near the island of Antikythera. Fast forward 2,000 years. Divers haul up a lump of corroded bronze. X-rays reveal gears, interlocking, precision-cut bronze gears. This is the Antikythera mechanism. Mainstream fact blows the mind. Dating to around 150 to 100 BC, it's the world's oldest known analog computer. Its dials and pointers predicted lunar phases, solar eclipses, and the positions of planets years in advance. It even modeled the irregular orbit of the moon. This wasn't just stargazing. It was celestial engineering of staggering complexity, lost for millennia. Now, for the quirky, some fragments bear inscriptions, an ancient user manual. One passage seems to mention a cosmos display. Sparking wild theories, it modeled the entire known universe. While likely an exaggeration, the core truth is humbling. Hellenistic Greeks possessed metallurgical and mathematical sophistication rivaling 18th century Europe. You picture a scholar in Alexandria cranking the handle, watching celestial bodies dance on a dial, a pocket universe powered by bronze. The desert heat returns, this time in Egypt. You're deep inside the temple of Hathor at Dendera, flashlight beam piercing the gloom to illuminate a peculiar bas-relief. It shows a giant lotus flower inside which rests a snake stretched outwards towards what looks suspiciously like a giant upside-down light bulb filament held by a supporting pillar. Enter the Dendera light bulb fringe theory. Proponents claim it depicts ancient electric lighting. Mainstream archaeology, not so fast. Egyptologists overwhelmingly identify it as a symbolic representation of the creation myth, the snake, the god Harsomptus, emerging from the primordial lotus within the watery chaos. The bulb-like shape equals the Djed pillar, symbol of stability, representing the dawn of light and order. It's profound mythology, not a wiring diagram. Yet the persistence of the light bulb idea highlights a truth. We often struggle to interpret symbolic tech through our own lens. You smirk, imagining a future archaeologist finding a USB stick and declaring it a ceremonial fertility totem. Now, feel the dry chill of a high desert canyon. You're standing in Chaco Canyon, New Mexico, at the base of the immense D-shaped complex of Pueblo Bonito, built by the ancestral Puebloans 1,000 years ago. Look up. Key windows and doorways align precisely with the rising and setting sun during solstices and equinoxes. But look further. On a distant butte, etched into the rock face, is a spiral petroglyph. At noon, on the summer solstice, a dagger of sunlight pierces a specific rock slab above it, bisecting the spiral perfectly, a celestial calendar marking the year's peak. Was Chaco an astronomical observatory, a pilgrimage center timed to cosmic events? Historians still argue fiercely whether these alignments were deliberate, precise science or symbolic interpretations woven into architecture. The evidence is compelling. Roads stretch dozens of miles in dead straight lines, possibly processional paths aligned with lunar standstills. You stand in the solstice light beam, feeling the intentionality. This wasn't just survival, it was a dialogue with the cosmos, a way to anchor their world in the vast, predictable rhythms of the sky. The precision humbles your smartphone's GPS. The desert wind fades, replaced by the low, ominous rumble deep beneath your feet. You're standing on the crescent moon island of Thera, modern Santorini, 3,600 years ago. The ground shudders, not an earthquake, but the mountain itself breathing its last. Ash blots out the sun. Superheated gas roars downhill, vaporizing the dazzling Minoan port of Akrotiri in seconds. This wasn't just an eruption, it was an apocalypse. Mainstream fact, the Theran blast was one of Earth's largest volcanic events in human history. Tsunamis 100 feet high smashed Crete's coast 70 miles away. Crops failed for years under a global ash veil. Historians argue whether this cataclysm fatally weakened the Minoans, allowing Mycenaean Greeks to dominate, or if it merely accelerated their decline. You cough on imaginary sulfur, tasting the world-ending panic. Civilizations aren't just lost to slow decay. Sometimes the sky literally falls. Now the dark theories creep in. Why do so many advanced techniques vanish? Did elites suppress knowledge? Consider Roman concrete, its recipe lost for 1,500 years, far superior to medieval mortar. Was it deliberate secrecy by guilds, or simply fragmented expertise after empires collapsed? Then there's the Baghdad battery, again found in a 1940s dig, dismissed as a scroll jar. But what if? Experiments do show it can generate voltage with grape juice as electrolyte. Fringe historians whisper, could electroplating have existed, used for gifting statues, suppressed by priests fearing magic? Mainstream scholars counter. Where are the wires, the tools, the evidence beyond one odd jar? The truth is likely mundane, but the idea of lost tech speaks to our fear that brilliance can be erased. You glance at your phone, its microchips feel suddenly fragile. What if our cloud servers blinked out tomorrow? Here's the twist. Ancient secrets aren't always lost. They're hiding in plain sight. Walk through Manhattan. See those glass skyscrapers. Their strength relies on precise geometry, echoing the self-supporting arches of the Roman Colosseum. Drive a car, its suspension owes a debt to Incan rope bridges woven from grass swaying over Andean gorges, engineering so sound some lasted 500 years. Ever use GPS? It relies on celestial math refined by Babylonians tracking Jupiter on clay tablets 2,600 years ago. Their base 60 system, why we have 60 seconds in a minute. You pull out your phone, open a star map app. The constellations are different, but the awe is the same. The past isn't a buried relic, it's the foundation beneath your sneakers. So why hunt secrets? Because every cracked script, every aligned stone, every whisper of forgotten tech tells us human ingenuity isn't linear. Brilliance bloomed in deserts, jungles, islands, then flickered out. Not always because they failed. Sometimes they succeeded too well until climate shifted, disasters struck, or resources vanished. Their lost knowledge, often just solutions waiting to be rediscovered when we face similar walls, like using ancient Amazonian terra preta soil, a biochar mix enhancing fertility for millennia to combat modern soil degradation, or studying Mayan water reservoirs to drought-proof cities. The hunt isn't nostalgia, it's survival, it's humility, it's realizing our shiny tech might be a rediscovery, not an invention. So, before you drift off, if unraveling these mysteries with me sparked even one whoa moment, consider supporting the channel. Hit like if you enjoyed the journey, subscribe if you want more deep dives into humanity's hidden layers, and tell me below what ancient secret fascinates you most. Now, let the echoes fade As we wind down, the images soften now. The roaring volcano quiets to a distant murmur. The indecipherable glyphs blur like stars through tired eyes. Feel the weight lift from your shoulders, the dust of tombs, the strain of hauling impossible stones, the frustration of unreadable words, all gently settling. Those civilizations, so vivid moments ago, recede like ships into a calm, moonlit sea. They had their triumphs, their terrors, their dawns and dusks, just like us. Breathe deep, in and out. The air in your room is cool, familiar, safe. The fan's soft whir is the modern echo of desert winds sighing over buried cities. The glow of your screen fades, leaving only the gentle dark. Those ancient builders, scribes, and star watchers, they weren't so different. They loved, they worried, they looked up at the same moon and wondered. Their secrets weren't meant to torment us. They're invitations to marvel, to learn, to remember how fragile and fierce human brilliance can be. Let the mysteries soften into stories now, gentle tales for the edge of sleep. The stones of Göbekli Tepe stand silent under the Milky Way. The Nazca channels still guide unseen waters. The Antikythera gears rest in their museum case. Dreams of bronze and cosmos paused, and somewhere perhaps a clay tablet waits, holding a joke, a prayer, a name whispered for millennia, ready to be heard when the time is right. But not tonight. Tonight is for stillness, for the quiet certainty that you belong to this long, unbroken chain. Curious, resilient, forever reaching. Your eyelids grow heavy. The past is safe. The night is kind. Let go of the hunt, just for now. Drift on the calm, knowing that wonders, both found and waiting, will still be there when you wake. Sleep well, explorer. The journey continues in dreams.